All right, cool. Can you guys all hear me clearly? I have some noise in the background, so if it's noisy, I can close the door behind me. Is it okay? Yes, good. All right, cool. All right, welcome everyone. Happy Tuesday. Hope you guys had a good weekend. I got some emails and sorry, um, I responded to some, but I wasn't able to respond to some others. It's been a busy weekend for me. It was my birthday over the weekend, so I've been busy, and I'm also in Hawaii, so I've also been busy like with my family and stuff. But I'll get back to you guys as soon as possible, or we can happily chat after class. It might be easier to just do it that way, so I can answer your questions in person, or over Zoom. Thank you for my birthday wishes. Um, let's see. So we are going to uh, go over. We're going to go over section perspective today. Let me share my screen. Screen one. All right. Okay. So last time had gone over how you can create a plan. Some of you might have some questions about that, so we can talk about that at the end of class today. Otherwise, today we're going to get into section perspective. So this is kind of the goal for us today, is to create something that looks like this. And this is called the section perspective drawing. On Canvas, I have that video already of kind of going through the whole process. Some of you might have done it already. Some of you might have not. Anyway, we're going to go over it today. All right. So, but this is, the kind of end goal. And let me just talk about this while we're looking at it. So end goal is to have a render underlay under your line work, just like how we did for the plan and how we have done for our module 2 assignment. Now, again, we're in module 3. um, um, we want to have our pochets in any floors and walls that we're cutting through. We also want to have this black poche fill on the ground plane. And take note on how it's running through the entire screen, okay? It's running from like the left of the screen to the right of the screen, or right to left. It's not running from like one side to the bottom of the screen. It's running through the whole entire viewport. So make sure that when you are doing your sections and when you're kind of cleaning everything up, make sure, or when you're setting your view, make sure that your section is going to be cutting through your whole viewport from left to right. Okay, that's very important. Also notice that I have this horizon line in the back, and we've sort of already set a plane up in Rhino, a ground plane, which you can see here. This ground plane that I had asked everyone to model from their previous in our previous class, that will help you to create that ground plane that we see, or the horizon line that we see here in this section perspective drawing. Okay, and this is again a section perspective drawing. Perspective meaning that it has depth to it. You can see um, a bit of some of these floors and some of these walls about how far they go back. If it was just a typical like regular section, you wouldn't really necessarily see any depth. You just see like a bunch of like spaces, and you wouldn't see any depth to the floor or to these walls. Okay, you just kind of see what some things that you're cutting through, and then you'd see just like these like vertical walls basically. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So again, this is available to you on Canvas so that you can see, kind of what it should look like in the end, hopefully. And again, a section is when you're cutting through something. So think about like a cake, yeah? If you have a cake and it has like a bunch of layers, if you just like chop through that cake and kind of open it up to see all of the layers, then you'd see all of these like lines and layers of like icing and cake and batter or whatever. And that's basically what a section is, okay? But now I want you to think about a section um, uh, of your like spatial composition or of your piece of architecture that you've created. So let's get into it. Hopefully, if anyone has any questions on what a section is, feel free to shout it out. Let me just open my chat to have it on the side to see if anyone has any questions. Where is it? Hold on, let me find that chat box. Chat box. Oh, here we go. All right. Oh, okay, thanks for all my birthday wishes. Okay, so let's get into Rhino. Here we are. So last time we had finished with our plan view, we had made that with our clipping plane. That's how we move our clipping plane up and down to kind of see what we want to reveal, and you can kind of see it in all viewports. We're pretty much going to do the same thing, but we're going to be flipping our section from horizontal. We're going to be flipping our clipping plane from horizontal to a vertical clipping plane. And this is going to help us to kind of create our section perspective vertically, because again, we're cutting it horizontally um, right now because it was creating a plan view. So we're looking at it from above, but now we want to look at it in a perspective kind of way. So the first thing you need to do is just take your existing clipping plane that you have, and you just need to click on this. See this green arc? This is why the gumball tool comes in handy. So I'm gonna just toggle this on and off for you just so you can see if you have it on or not, or just see that I'm turning on my gumball tool and what the gumball tool widget is, which is this like arrow, blue, green, red arrow thing. But you want to click on this arc, and you want to just make your clipping plane vertical. And so this is up to you to decide if you want to cut it like, if you want to cut it. So if we take a look at in plan view for a second, let me just bring this back to like a wireframe maybe. Ooh, no, that was confusing. Rendered. Okay, so if we look at this in plan view, like I could cut it any way I want to. I can cut it well, but only like in orthogonal cuts, or and it's only going to be one clean cut, just like a full cut, because we're using the clipping plane. Okay, we're not going to be doing like zigzags or anything with this. Okay, it's just one clean cut. Okay, so it's really up to you to decide if you want to cut it like this way, or if you want to cut it this way. Okay, and I would urge you to cut it in whichever way looks the most interesting. Let's go back to our rubric and see if there's any. Okay, we should probably look at this third one. The quality of your drawings to express the formal and spatial features of your design scheme and well composed, sliced, and tilted section perspective. Okay, so I don't specifically say, anything to help you decide where you want to cut it, but basically whatever is going to help you create like the most interesting sort of composition in a section. So you want to see like a bunch of spaces, you want to see different levels. Um, you don't want like a big wall to be blocking everything. You want it to kind of open up your model and see like within, and you want to be able to see different spaces and kind of like their relationship to one another. And so that's why that's really what a section is for. Okay, so you can cut it vertically or horizontally, or no, vertically like this way. Like if I look at my plan view this way or this way. So let's see, let me try you. And so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna click on this arc, and I'm just gonna type 90 degrees. Okay, and then I'm just gonna move my gumball tool so it can reveal my model. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a look at it this way and see what it looks like. I can use my, maybe I'll like go from the right hand side, or maybe I'll do it from this top plan just to see. So this is, and I'm sort of setting up my view here in perspective. Okay, but you can see it's the same thing as we did for plan. If you use this arrow and kind of drag it to hide or unhide some of your objects, your geometry, you can see what it's cutting through. Again, you can see like these bolded lines are what, the different walls and floors that you're cutting through. Um, so you want to just kind of move it back and forth and kind of see what looks the most interesting. But you don't want to like have it too far back, like that you kind of lose all of your other, like you lose the whole essence of your spatial composition, because if I just like leave it at that, it's like, well, like what information is that really showing? It doesn't really show anything. It's not really showing any of my spatial composition, you know? So you want to at least get a good chunk of it. Um, so I could do it this way. But then things that you want to avoid are cutting through big vertical walls like this. This rectangle that's, I guess I can't highlight it, but I think you all see this rectangle here, and it's now has a bolded outline. I'm cutting through that because again, we're going to be filling all of our cuts, anything that's sort of bolded here, we're going to be filling that in with a black fill in Illustrator. And so you don't want to cut through those big things because then you're going to just have like a big black volume in, you know, and it's like hiding the rest of my spatial composition back here. So I either want to do it in back of that, maybe move it until that's all gone. Wait, where is it? Why isn't that working? Oh, whoops. I was actually moving that. I was moving that rectangle and not my clipping plane. Okay, so I either want to do it in front or in back of it. What happens here? Okay, let me just do this again. Okay, so I think, Jesus. Okay, so hopefully you guys get the point. Any questions so far? So you really just want to like kind of look and see what looks pretty interesting. I don't really like this angle or this side that I'm cutting through. Maybe I want to take a look at what it's going to look like if I cut through the other side. So what I can do is just kind of click this blue arc now and just rotate it 90 degrees. And now it's just going to kind of flip that clipping plane. So now that we can look at it this way in our perspective view. All right, and let me take a look and see what looks interesting, what looks fun. I want to kind of set up my view a bit. So I want to cut through a good amount of walls and floors. It would be nice, I would say, if you are able to cut through like one of each wall, each type of wall, just like how we had done for our, you know, we had tried to do for our plan. I mean, I'm not going to dock you points if you don't, because like sometimes the walls just aren't there. But if it's possible, and if it's great, if it's like, if it works out for you, it'd be really nice to be able to cut through like an aluminum cladding wall, which is this green one. It also, but at the same time cutting through like some floors, some walls, and also like maybe like a curtain wall system, which was all of these like windows, those framed ones, okay? If it works out for you that way, then great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. I'm just kind of giving you pointers on how you can start to look at it. All right, so let me move this to the side. Okay, so I think I like this side better than cutting through the other way. I can also like flip it if I wanted to look at it from the other side. See if that maybe looks better. I don't know. I don't think so. This side's kind of hiding everything. This side will probably also hide things, uh, hide the rest of my composition. So I maybe want to just stick with that side that I was working with, which was this side. So then I'm just going to be cutting through some walls and just kind of seeing what's going to look most interesting. And I think that looks pretty interesting to me. You know, just kind of, I'm cutting through a variety of planes, and they're all at different elevations, and you can see various spaces. Like there's a space down here, there's some spaces up here. So I think that looks pretty good to me. All right, so let's go into our perspective view. So I'm going to stop it at there for my cut. And then I think the other thing that we want to look out for, so I guess like that's step one, like which is good. I've put the clipping plane at the area where I want to cut through my model. Okay, what I want to do next is I want to rotate, you know, around in perspective view so that my ground plane is fully going through the right and the left-hand side of the viewports, because we don't want something that like looks like, I don't even know how to get it like that, I guess. I mean, that's a great section perspective, but then the only thing is that my viewport is, or my ground plane is running from the right-hand side, which is great, but it's running now into the bottom of the viewport, which I don't want. I want it to run all the way through. So, you know, you just want to kind of move around so it works nicely. All right. So I think that might be a good section perspective. I think that looks pretty good. Once you sort of kind of like align it, and you want to make sure that your walls are straight, like as straight as possible. Okay. So if you don't want it to be like all the way like that, or you don't want your walls to be like diagonal, you want them to be a bit straight. And that's basically why do we want this? We want this because that's what our human eye sort of sees as we look at buildings. Unless it's like a intentionally like angled building, your eyes will see everything like vertically. And we should have modeled everything vertically or orthogonally from the first assignment. And so we should be seeing those verticals here. And so how you can make sure that those are straight is if you come to your properties, you go to you can go to, just make sure you unclick everything, unselect everything, as long as I think it's your Z, if you have your Z location as set at the same here. So distance to target under the camera, and then the Z target, or no, sorry, the Z location and the Z target under camera and targets. As long as those are set as the same, it'll make sure that those lines are straight. Okay. But you can kind of like shift it around to make sure that it's straight enough before you do that. Okay. And again, if you zoom in, great, but try not to rotate it again. But again, make sure that this viewport is running from left to right, or your ground plane is running from left to right of your viewport, okay? And I would say a good Z location to start at for this composition is 30, because if you remember, we had began our um, putting all of our like pieces in module 1, we had began putting everything in a 60 by 60 by 60 cube. And so our composition could possibly be like around that, 60 by 60 by 60 like dimension. And so that's why I myself started it sort of at the midpoint of it. So I started at 30, and if I move it a little bit up and down from there, that's fine. Some of your compositions do go like really tall or really wide, which is fine. I would try to kind of get your composition in, or get your view in sort of the center of however tall it is. Your individual compositions are, okay? But I like this view right now. I like the walls that I'm cutting through. I like the spaces that it's creating, and I like what it's revealing in my composition. So, and I've set my view already. I've played with my Z location and Z target to make all of those walls straight. And what I'm going to do now is save my view, because I like it, and I don't want to lose it. So we should already have like our plan from our previous plan view. Oh, hold on one second, guys. Sorry. Okay, so what we're going to do is just save our section perspective. So I'm going to call this section perspective, and I'm going to press OK. Also, like maybe try to center it within your viewport as best as possible. So maybe I'll just pan it over a bit. Maybe I might need to zoom in, but again, don't want that viewport to be too far down. Maybe I kind of like it a bit zoomed out. Like, yeah, maybe that's a bit better. All right, so I'm just going to resave that view. Name view, section perspective. Nope, I don't want to call it section perspective, and I'm going to replace it. Oops. Okay, perfect. All right, so we've set our view, and now it's just the same process that we've done before. We've done it in our previous assignment. We've done it for our plan view. We're just going to be making 2D and we're going to render. Oh, but first, before we do that, something I want you to look out for is this ground plane. So you see, if we take a look at the final drawing here, remember that horizon line that I had mentioned earlier? I want to make sure that my horizon line is straight. And so here, it's not really straight. It's like almost there, but then it kind of like comes at an angle and makes a corner there and comes here. So what I want to do is that means I just want to make my, or I will just have to make my ground plane like longer. Okay, I'll just have to stretch it. So the command that we're going to use to make it longer and you can kind of like look while you're stretching it, you can see if it's stretching all the way to the edge of your viewport. We're just going to use the stretch command. You might have used this before. So I'm just going to come in here in my plan view. I'm going to click on that ground plane that we had modeled already. And then I'm going to type stretch. All right, and I'm going to click one corner, click the other corner, and you can see that corner is being selected here in my section perspective view. And I'm just going to drag that out. All right, just as long as you need it. There's no particular kind of length that needs to be dragged, just as long as your horizon line sort of goes all the way to the end of your viewport, okay? You can also stretch it, this way too, in case you maybe want to change the height of that horizon line. See it change there? I don't know what's happening there. I think it's because I have where's my clipping plane properties? Plan view, all right. Let me just stretch that again. So if you can see here in my section perspective that that horizon line is sort of getting taller, you know, but then we're also going to need to maybe change, make it longer that way now because now there's like it created that corner there. So really depends on how far you want your horizon line to be, as like a background um, in the backgrounds. But I think I liked it did I like it? I think this looks okay. We're going to be hiding the horizon line, but this is going to help for the drawings anyway. Um, so I'll leave it at that as it was, but just want you guys to know that you can stretch your ground planes to kind of create your horizon lines in your section perspective. All right, so now that I've done that, I think it looks pretty good. What I want to do now is make 2D and render. So what I'm going to do is highlight everything. And we all know the steps: make 2D, make 2D, section perspective. Okay, and let's see, what do we want to check today? Okay, in this, we don't want scene silhouette on. We just want tangent edges and viewport rectangle, which is what we had previously done. Oh, and we also, since it is a section perspective, we want to check clipping plane intersections, so we can use our clipping plane to highlight those kind of areas where we're cutting through to create our section. So check that, okay? So tangent edges, clipping plane intersections, and viewport rectangle. All right, and then I'm just going to click OK. And it's just going to take a bit to load. All right, I think it loaded. So before I get out of this section perspective view, after it's made 2D, you can kind of see that something's kind of happened here, which is make 2D. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect my clipping plane. So I'm just going to hold Control on my keyboard and then select that clipping plane to deselect it, as you can see there. And now I can come out here to my section perspective, or come out of my section perspective to all my 4 quadrants, my viewports, and then I'm just going to move that make 2D off to the side so we can look at it in our plan view. That looks pretty great. and we'll clean it up and everything. But first, before I do that, I just want to maybe move this away so it's not in my section perspective view. Before we do that, I want to render this. So let me just make sure that my viewport is, or my view is set as the same way that it was when we made 2D, and it is. Now I'm going to come here to render. As you can tell, this is the same process that we've done previously, but it's a same process, different drawing. So this should hopefully all be familiar with you. So I'm just going to, again, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to leave it at 72 and good quality, but you should do it at 300 and final quality. This will help to make the pixelation on your image less pixely, make the quality of your image less pixely, and if you're going to blow it up at a larger scale. So I would, you should be selecting 300 and final quality for your render, but I'm going to keep it at 72 and good so it renders a bit quicker. You should have your transparent background checked, your ground plane off, because we've manually made a ground plane, so you don't need to have it render like a imaginary ground plane in it. All right. Use custom, yeah, you can keep that checked. Sun should be off, skylight should be on. Gamma you can change. Again, the gamma changes your how bright, or it changes your light and shadows. So it'll make it darker or lighter after you render. So you can change it now, but I would just wait till you finish with your render and you can change it then. And then that should be it. So I'm going to click render. And make your clipping plane should still be on, as you can see. It's still right there, and it's cutting through my section nicely. So here's the render, and we're just going to wait for this to render. It shouldn't take too long. All right, that's finished. And it looks pretty good overall. Again, you can play with the gamma here. The higher the number, the lighter it is, the less shadows that will be there. But we want to get some good shadows. I like how mine shows up as at 2.2. Again, everyone's gamma is probably going to be different because everyone has different geometry. And there's a skylight that's coming from above to kind of like shine onto our model, and the way that our architecture interacts with the lighting is going to be different in everyone's composition. And so that's why the gamma is going to be, on an individual basis. Okay. But you can see in this render that we have, you can see nicely and clearly the section cuts where we've cut through. And you can kind of see that wall kind of extruding through my floor plates. And that's fine because we're going to be just chopping that right off. Or we're not chopping it off. We're going to cover it up. Sorry. We're just going to be covering that up with our pochés. And you can see that my ground plane is very nice, but we're gonna save this, but we're not gonna have a black background where it's showing as a black background um, because we're saving it as a PNG. And the setting that we had in our Rhino render before we clicked the render button was a transparent background. So again, we're going to be saving this as a PNG in order to keep that transparent background. So anything that's black should become transparent when we export it as a PNG. So file name, I'm going to call this section perspective render. I'm going to save that. And it should be in my folder. So I'm just going to come back here, or I'm just going to hide that for now. And I'm just going to come back so I into my plan view to clean up my make 2D, and then export that. So our render's already done. There are, these lines here that are going through your floor slabs because you like these lines are happening because like you can see within your floor slabs that you're cutting through. So you can delete those if you want. I mean, I would like to delete those, but it's okay if you don't because we're gonna just kind of put a black fill over that, the pochets. So it's gonna be hidden regardless. So if you want to take the time to clean it up, I would say best practice is yes, always take the time to clean up your drawings. But if you're in a pinch, you can fake it till you make it. Okay. I think we're cutting through this as well. So I'm going to maybe just use the trim tool. I think it stops there. Oh, okay. I see. I think all of this here should be deleted. Okay. And here. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to leave it at that for now. Other things again to look out for is this vertical line that's running on the side of your walls. We cleaned those up in our module 2s, and so there's no reason why we shouldn't clean them up in our module 3s. So get rid of this like vertical line that's sort of running on the sides of your aluminum cladding walls because that's something we don't need. It just the Revit just kind of makes that automatically as a guide. All right. So look out for those. Again, look out for your lines inside of those slabs that you're cutting through. And oh, what's happening here? All right. So it looks like all of these pink lines they're sort of running over my floor slab right now. What's happening there? Layers. Okay. So I would want to trim those off. I wonder why that happened. That was weird. So yeah, so your tile shouldn't be coming over your floor slabs because that's, on the ground plane. All of this, we're cutting through this floor here, so we're gonna cover it up. So you can leave it if you want to. You can get rid of it if you want to. Um, Up to you. All right. So I'm gonna leave that. So because I'll show you that it's gonna be hidden. I'll prove it to you that we're hiding these things. On your frames, clean up your frames. I think a lot of you had cleaned up your frames nicely in our previous assignment. So take a look at those and I think for the most part, that's really it that you should kind of look out for. So I'm just going to clean up this guy a bit more. All right. And any lines that you need to kind of like fill in, like maybe we need to fill in a line here or like stretch this line, you can do so. I think we have to do that. Um, I mean, basically, we want it to look, you know, we want our drawing to look exactly like our section perspective, our model here. So if I just maybe change that to a rendered view, you can see what it should, more or less look like. Um, so you can kind of compare them, your Make 2D side by side with your model here. Okay, so once you've cleaned that up, let's just pretend that I have that very nice and clean. Again, things to look out for. I have a, uh, a line that's going all the way through my viewport from right to left or left to right. It's not running to the bottom. Um, that, this is what we want, okay? Because we're cutting through the ground. That's included. When we're cutting when we're creating a section, you cut through your building, you also cut through the ground. That's kind of just like a rule. or just kind of just what it is. Okay, and then also you have your horizon line, and it's one straight line. Okay, I have a window here, so that's why there's like that line right there. So if you have a window, you might, and your horizon line is coming within your window, don't like be alarmed that that's wrong and delete it. Okay, it's right. Looks like I need to maybe clean this up a bit too. It's probably missing the rest of this. I'll kind of leave it there. Okay, but you would obviously, clean it up much better than I would. But I think you guys are pretty good already at knowing what you should do and following the steps. Okay, so once you've cleaned up your model, good enough to bring into Illustrator, then you're going to bring it into Illustrator. So we're just going to have to go to File. It always takes long. All right, export selected. And I want to save it as an Illustrator file in whatever folder you are organizing your files in. And I'm going to call it section perspective drawing. And I leave it at that. Okay, so it should just take a little while to export. Shouldn't take too long. I think I'm missing something. Oh, this window popped up on my other screen. Okay, so after you click OK for the Make 2D, then this screen's going to pop up. And so then you have to press OK. Sorry, I always forget about that for some reason. Okay, so file successfully saved. Great. So what I want to do is come to my folder that I have my render and my section perspective drawing saved in. And I'm just going to open that Illustrator, which you guys should now know what we're about to do, hopefully. So there it is. I have all of those in different layers. I have my viewport rectangle layer. I have my clipping plane layer. So what's on this layer, your clipping plane layer, is all of those like walls that we're cutting through. That's what's on that layer. So let's just turn that off. So you can see these are kind of just like highlighting those walls or outlining those walls that we're cutting through. And then I have everything else on, on all my other lines on that last layer. Okay, so what I want to do first is make sure my document is a proper 11 by 17. So sorry, maybe that was a bit too fast. I came up here to document setup, edit artboards. Yep, it says width 17, height 11. You can also turn on your rulers by pressing Control or Command. If you have a MacBook, you can press Command or Control R. So you can bring up your rulers and it'll show you the dimensions of your page. So 17, 11. So perfect. All right, so we're going to be scaling. I'm going to scale this the same way that I have been doing recently. So I'm going to come up here to transform. After I select my line work, I'm going to come here to transform. Then I'm going to change my width to 17. So that way it will proportionally make sure you have this link here checked. Oops. Or not checked, but make sure it's kind of pressed. That button is pressed like that. So I want to just transform this proportionally to the page size of 17. All right, so now if I zoom out, my drawing is from here to here, it's 17. inches, just like how my page from here to here is 17 inches, okay? And now what I need to do is kind of move this corner to this top corner here. And so that's what this top corner in this kind of grid of squares is. You know, you can select these grids and use these as your reference point into where you're going to be snapping your selection to. So I'm going to put that top left corner, and then I'm going to put on the X 0 and Y 0, enter. And it's going to perfectly snap it to my page, which is great. And now I can get rid of that nasty viewport rectangle. I'm going to hide it. Okay. All right. And what I'll do next is I will bring in my my render, but first I want to make a new layer and call that section perspective render. I'm just labeling that for myself. You can call your layers whatever you want to, okay? So what we want to go to, after you make that new layer, make sure that's highlighted, then come up here to File, Place, Section Perspective. Oops. Oh yeah, that's right. And then you want to just kind of drag it to no particular size. And maybe I'll lock all of my other layers for now, just so I can only, I'll only have this section perspective layer as the active layer. Okay, and you see how it's created this transparent background, but my ground plane's in there, which is great. Okay, so there's no black like how it was showing up in our Revit, or I mean in our Rhino render. All right, so we just want to scale this the same way, using the same method, or you can do it manually, which is fine. Just try to line it up as best as you can. But you know, this is a nice, easy method to use. So width should be 17, enter, and it makes it to, you know, nicely fit on that page. And then I want to move it to that top left corner, just like how I had done for my drawing. So make sure that top left corner is selected as the reference point. And then in the X, I'll type 0 and Y 0. And ta-da! And again, it's at the bottom layer underneath all of my line work. So that's why the line work's able to be seen above it. All right. What you want to do next is maybe lock that render, or maybe before we, yeah. Before we lock that render, I will probably unlock everything else and just kind of like highlight it and just kind of toggle it down using my arrow keys to kind of fit better on the page so it's not so high. All right, now I'm gonna again hide that viewport rectangle. And now we can see perfectly that my, you know, the same things, that my section, or the ground plane, is running from the right to the left, or the left to the right of my entire page. And that's what we want. And my horizon lines there, all of these lines are vertical lines, or they're, you know, they're straight up and down. And great, so, you know, we'll change our lines to black and fix up the line work, okay? But before we do that, I would like to show you how you can create your pochés. Well, I did show you that last time, but I'll show you again today. So let's hide, or let's make a new layer. Let's lock up all of our other layers, and we'll make a new layer that's sort of at the top, just like how I'm doing now. I'm going to call this pochés. Okay. And I think the two ways that we had created our pochés in our plan view was with the pen tool or with the rectangle tool. Okay, so I'm going to use the pen tool to create my ground plane. So all you need to do, it's very simple. You just select each corner. All right, and come back to my selection tool. And then I just want to kind of swap the fill and the stroke. If you don't have like a black stroke already, then you can just manually like double click on this fill here on the left-hand side and then select black. For some reason, it doesn't do that. So then I just will do it again, and it does that perfectly. All right. And my fill, I will just keep as maybe I'll just make it here up here to nothing. Okay. Okay, so great. So we have our ground plane in. That's what we wanted. Now we need to put the rest of our pochés in. So let's see what we can do here. Maybe I'll make another layer. I'll call this one ground plane, and then I'll make a new layer and call it wall pochés, and I'll call this one ground poché. And I made a new layer because like if you use the pen tool on like this layer here on your ground plane, like it might like add points to your ground plane and then kind of like make it funky. Maybe not. It seems to be working okay actually. But anyway, I like to have things on different layers personally. So that's why I'm just gonna put all of those on another layer. Okay, so what do you want to do here? So see how we didn't clean up all those lines in there, remember? Which is fine because we're just going to cover it up. So I'm going to just use my pen tool and just select like we've done before. Kind of these corners, it comes up here, comes to the left. Oop. I can't see that inner portion, so what I want to do is just swap this right now so I can see it. And then I'm just going to kind of finish it off, come back to that first point. Okay, that's okay. And then I'll swap it back. All right, and ta-da, we have pocheted that successfully. I will do another one, which is kind of like this floor, this vertical, and this little one. I think it actually stops here. I'll come around. And I think in this case, the pen tool will be better because it's just easier to kind of just click all the different corners. Let's swap that. Now we can see it. All right, and I'll swap it. Perfect. See, like, so if I wanted to use the rectangle tool, it could work, but then I mean, technically, yes, it does work in some instances. But in other instances, like I guess like what I'm saying is it's more accurate to use the pen tool in this case because it's a section perspective. All right, and then the last one I think is up top here. Okay, perfect. So you want to make sure that you're cutting through a few walls and a few floors, not just like one wall, okay? Okay, cool. So that's great. We have our pochés in there. So what I need to do now is kind of unlock my clipping plane layers and my curve layers and just change the color of them. Maybe I want to, before I do that, maybe I would want to change the line type. It might be easier to select this way because everything is it has a different color. So then I can go to select. If I click on a line, I can go to select same stroke color, and then I can change that. My tile maybe want to be the lightest, and then I think this should probably be a bit lighter. So I'm going to do select same stroke color, highlights all those same colors on my aluminum walls. 0.25 maybe. What's that look like? Okay, that's a bit better. These guys, select same stroke color. Let's see. I'll change it to like 0.2. I'm making them very close, but still different so that when I change them all to black, if I decide that I want to like change like change some lines, but like in the same kind of group, then I can just select same stroke weight. So they're all very like similar. Like I actually think I want to change this one to a lighter one. So like 0.1, but not 0.1. Like I'll do like 0.11. That's pretty close. Oops. I want to select it by the color. Same stroke color. Okay. Okay. 0.11. Object select same stroke color. Point. I'll do this at 0.21. Sure. And again, like these are up to you guys on however you want to make your thicknesses. But I'm kind of like giving you guys a sort of tip or guide. Okay. I'm going to turn off my clipping plane intersection layer. Just because now it was really just helping us to identify where we were making those cuts. And now that I had filled the pochés in, we don't really need that layer anymore. It's not like getting rid of the lines that we need, you know? So I'm gonna get rid of that as you saw, I just did. Okay, and now I'm just gonna change everything to black. All my line work to black. Your horizon line should be probably the lightest line out of everything. Just because it's the furthest away from us. So let's select that. So I'm gonna make that one at like 0.09 because I think I made the tile 0.1. Oops, looks like I needed to clean that up, but let's pretend that I did everything nicely and super clean. Okay, so I'm gonna select everything, change all these lines to black. Perfect. I can deselect and wow, look at that. It looks almost exactly like the submission should be. Looks like I have some thick walls here. I don't really like that thickness. I'm going to select that stroke weight. And I think I'll just kind of eyedrop tool and kind of copy this line weight here. Can I select that? Huh. What is this line weight? Oh, okay, that's actually 0.1. Those thicker lines, or those are 1 point. Sorry. Stroke weight. I'll change that to 0.21. There we go. Now they're sort of matching. There's like another thicker line here, or is this like, though that's just multiple lines. That's okay. When you look at it from afar, it looks great. But you know, I will be zooming in, so I'll try to clean up as best as possible. I think I'm having some issues here, so with my aluminum cladding walls. If you're having these issues, it might be if I think like the view that you're looking at it from or the angle might be like too minuscule for Rhino to actually like pick up and process. So you could probably play with the angle that you're looking at it from if you're getting these kinds of issues or too much of those. But overall, I think it looks really good. And so the last thing to do is just, we're not going to be exporting this to a PDF quite yet, because again, we're going to combine all of our drawings that we're making in this third assignment into one drawing that will look like this. Okay. So I'm just going to save this as an Illustrator file. So I'm going to click save or file, save. And I'm just going to save over that perspective drawing that I had exported from Rhino. Or you can name it something else, but I'm just going to save it over that. All right. And you know, I'll go ahead and I'll go in here and clean this up in between today and next week, so I can also have a nice polished drawing as well. But that's basically it for section perspective. Who has some questions? No questions? It's pretty simple, I think, hopefully. It's really the same kind of process. It is the same process that we've been doing. It's just a different view. So the really only difference between this and what we had covered last week is the view that you're setting. Okay. Um, that's really it, guys, for today. I mean, this if you're keeping up with it, it should be pretty easy for you. Next week we are going to be covering section or we're going to be covering your elevations, how to create those, and then, do the same process. And then I'll also show you next week how I would like you to compile them on one sheet for your project 3 submission, which won't be until after spring break. Maybe I should do it. Maybe I should do it earlier. No, I won't do that. I'll give you guys a break. Let's see. Yeah, so next week we'll cover your elevations and we'll cover composing them all onto one sheet. So it would be great if you guys are keeping up with your drawings so that you don't have to kind of rush at the end or during spring break to kind of complete all of this. Okay. Um, Other than that, guys, that's it for today. I guess it's going to be a pretty short class. I will post the recording. I know some of you had emailed me. If I hadn't responded to you, why don't you stay on and let's just chat for a few minutes so I can help you out and see what's going on in your previous assignments or your last drawing. All right. Cool. Well, I'll stay on. If no one else has questions about a section, then I'll take questions about plans because hopefully a lot of you have done your plans and maybe have some questions on those. All right. I'm sorry I cut it short today. I mean, I'm not cutting it short. I mean, this is really all we're covering today. I'm happy to talk about anything else if you guys have other questions, though.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
So when I try to do my perspective drawing or this section perspective drawing,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit early,
Okay,
but
that's
this
cool.
the part where you go over like typing in 30 feet for the Z plane or whatever that
Mm-mm.
was called,
Yeah.
um, that wasn't working perfectly for me. Like it just took it to like a whole nother part of the Rhino drawing. Um, so is it cool if I just, I guess, kind of
Yeah, why
eyeball
don't you,
it?
yeah, you can totally eyeball it if you want to. That 30/30 you're talking about like when I was doing it here in properties, right? Like the Z location and the Z target.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how tall your model is, but so I picked 30 just because if I measure it, oh, can I get rid of that? Yeah, if I come up here to linear dimension and sort of just dimension my model from like the bottom to like the top here, it's about 60 feet. So I sort of picked the midpoint to view my section perspective from. That's why I picked 30. And then I kind of just like adjusted it a bit to have that viewport or that ground plane going through my viewport from left to right. So however tall your model is, I would suggest to kind of take a look at that and then kind of, use half of that number, that height to, for your Z location and Z target. Does that make sense? I mean, do you want to like show it to me on screen?
Yeah, I can show it to you. Just
Sure.
give me 1 second to open it up.
Okay, sure. I'll stop sharing. Does anyone else have a question while Carlos is pulling that up?
Yes, Chris, I just had a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Regarding turning in the assignment. Have you had a chance to review them or not yet? I know
I
you're
haven't
busy
had
now, but
I reviewed some of them. I will get to the rest of them this week. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. I just wanted to make sure. All right,
Yeah.
cool. All right.
Let's see. Nikita, I know you sent me an email. So, and Berenice, you as well. So why don't you start pulling up your files if you don't have them up already, and we can take a look. Okay. If anyone has it open already, then you can go ahead and share it and we can talk about it. Okay. Yeah, whoever wants to show it first, first one to the, oh, Carlos beat everyone. All right, so we'll talk about Carlos first. Here we go. Okay, cool. So, oh, and you have your elevations there. Nice. All right, so let's take a look at your what you were talking about. Are you saying something? If you're talking, Carlos, you're on mute, so I can't hear you.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
Let's see. Properties, symmetric.
Cool. Okay, do you know how tall your model is?
Yes, I think it's about 59 feet, 59
Oh,
feet and a
okay.
couple inches.
Okay, so yeah, 30 would work for you too. So you want to show me what was happening?
Yes.
Yeah, so right now you're looking at it from above. Let's try not to look at our section perspectives like from above. We sort of want to look at it in the middle of our 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 compositions.
Okay, cool.
So I think, yeah. And then maybe like tilt the perspective a bit more. Yeah, it could be from that way, it could be from the other way, whichever way you think is the most interesting.
yeah, so that's kind of what
Oh.
happens when I do that.
That's weird. 30. Okay, and can you change your Z target? 30. Okay, now change your Z location to 30. Okay, there. Oh, wait, why'd your Z target change? Oh, you know what? You have to set your view to a perspective view. You're still on the parallel view, your isometric view. Yeah, so click
Okay,
right
so
click that tab and set it to perspective. So go down to set view. Down. Yep. Perspective. So now do your 30-30 or kind of like do the view like how it was. Rotate it. Yeah, whatever. Okay, now zoom in and then do your like 30-30 on your Z location and Z target.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so
I
yeah,
guess.
that's what was happening is that you didn't set it to perspective. Sorry, I might have forgot to cover that. But yeah, set your views back to perspective. We won't be working in isometric view anymore. Okay?
Okay, cool. That works. Yeah, no,
All right.
that's all I needed. Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right. Who's next? Berenice, you want to share? All right, cool. What's going on here?
Okay, so
We're talking about
you
plan
see
view,
how,
right?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you see how on this side you can't see like the vertical
The lines,
lines?
yeah.
But then when I select it, they show up, but hold on. And also ever since we started like inserting the render files, my Rhino has been really slow.
Oh, well, you're on the render view right now. You're viewing it in sort of like a render view. Like I would change it to maybe like shaded in this top view. The render view definitely makes it a little slower.
Okay. If it loads.
It might just be because your Rhino is like taking up a lot of space in your computer or something like that. Yeah,
So now you can see the lines on this side, but
yes.
maybe that's normal.
Okay, I'm gonna request control. Hopefully I can take over. Let's see. Okay, let me click around. Can I control it?
Did it work?
Okay, maybe stop clicking around. Sorry. Let me see if it's gonna let me do anything. No, it's not letting me. It might be your like security settings. Can you go out of this top view so I can see your 4 views? Okay, so let's kind of zoom into your perspective view in that area where that's happening. I just want to see your tile. Okay, so they look different. Do you have like a surface in there or something?
I don't think so.
Let's see. Can you try clicking on one of those lines in that area? And then
Yeah,
maybe like
it's loading.
a selection menu might come up and maybe we'll be able to see what's there. Okay, can you just like press delete? We'll undo after we do that.
Delete.
Yeah, I just want to see if there's something there.
It's loading.
Okay, no worries. Huh, okay, undo.
By the way, do we still need Revit?
No, we're done with Revit. So
Okay.
if you are happy with like your compositions the way they are, you can, and if it's, Revit's taking up a lot of space in your computer, you can go ahead and take that off.
Okay.
Yeah, I know some of you were worried about that. Okay, so it looks like you grouped them, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, can you do, can you move it to like, just move in your top view, like move your tile off to the side with your gumball tool. Yeah, move it away. Maybe zoom out and move it further away. Okay. Is that your tile there too? Did it stay there? Or has it just not like finished the command
It's
yet?
still
Oh, okay.
loading.
Can you press ZS, enter
Yeah. Just
on your
on the
keyboard?
model?
Yeah, just press ZS keyboard and enter. Because I just want to zoom in on, oh no, but you want to select your
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to select your tile.
I can go last if you want so that they can go first.
Okay. Yeah, so what I think is that you have some sort of surface underneath there, or maybe you have like a bunch of denser lines. I don't know. So
Mhm.
what while maybe Nikita is sharing her screen and we're talking about what's going on with her, why don't you try moving your tile off to like the side without the ground, like outside of the ground plane, so we can really see what's going on there. Ungroup them and try clicking around, okay? See what's happening.
Okay.
And then we'll
Okay.
come back to you.
Okay.
All right, Nikita, go for it.
Okay. Okay, can you see?
Yep.
Okay, so let's go to the other one. So this is how it looks. Everything looks okay. Like you can
Mhm.
tell the different line weight.
Yep.
But when I save it as a PDF, okay, right here. Is this my PDF?
This is a PDF file. Can you just open your PDF in Adobe Acrobat or something?
Okay, let's. Oh, okay, yeah. See?
What am I looking at?
Oh, are you able to see this?
Is it a PDF like in Adobe Acrobat?
Yes.
Oh, I'm still seeing your Illustrator screen.
Oh, okay. Okay, hold on. I don't know how to do
Why don't you
this.
try sharing again? I'll stop your sharing and then share your screen.
Okay. Oh wait, I think it might be in a different
Okay, I see it now.
setting. This is just, yeah, when I open it. But
Okay.
it just started. Like this is the same, my first one didn't come out like this.
Let me see. So, I mean, it was, let's see, did you submit this for your previous assignment? Project 2?
Yes. Did it come out on your end like this? Like when you opened it?
Hold on, let me check.
Okay.
I mean, oh, I guess I didn't, yeah, I haven't gotten to grading Project 2's. No, yours looks good. I mean, other than the fact that you kept your viewport rectangle on.
No, look, I don't know why that's like that. Like, look it, even here, it's off. Oh, wait, okay, I have to stop sharing again.
Oh,
Can you see
okay.
my Adobe Illustrator?
No, can
Okay,
you,
sorry. I'm sorry.
no, you're good.
Okay, yeah, look, it's off. And
Are you
even, okay,
sure?
and this is the new, yeah, look, and this is the new project, right? This one here. And if I click it on, you can see it. That's my viewport. When I take it
Mhm.
off, you can't see it. And this is the other one. When I click it on, like you can see it. And when I click it off, you can't.
You must have had
So
it on because it's showing up here.
No, remember I submitted it twice. The first one
Yeah.
was,
The one
yeah, I
that's
submitted it twice.
the one that's showing up right now for the assignments has like your viewport in there.
See, that's so weird. And even when you look at the PDF, it's off. And I never touched anything. I haven't touched any settings since the first project.
Yeah.
I have no idea why it's saving like this or why it's on, why that viewport is still on.
I mean, like, why don't you try file export to PDF right now?
Okay. Okay, just make sure everything is off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're in edit. You have to go to
Oh.
file. Or sorry,
Okay,
save
and
as.
then-
Sorry, save as. Okay, just like save it, yeah, anywhere like to your desktop or something or wherever, whatever's easiest for you.
It's, yeah. And then I have to do
Yeah,
press quality.
Press quality. You saved this
take-
Illustrator file already, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And then we take off the editing capabilities.
Yep, and then you can just save PDF.
And okay.
Yeah, that should be fine.
See?
See what?
Oh,
What am I looking at?
okay. Oh my gosh, I don't know why it switched screens because it pops up in another screen.
Oh, okay.
But how do I get
And
back
what
to
does it
you?
look? Here, let me
It looks,
share
yeah,
your
it
screen.
looks the same. This is what popped up.
Okay, that looks good, right?
No, you can't tell the different line weights. Like you can't tell my plaid. I forgot how it's working, but you can't tell
Like the
my
thicker line?
glass plane. Yeah.
No, you can. It's the way that like Adobe Acrobat like views things. It just like it doesn't view it nicely like sometimes. Like let me show you what I have on my screen.
Okay.
Options. Screen 1. Like if I zoom in, which I do zoom into your submissions, I see that thicker line on the outside, but Adobe Acrobat, for some reason, it's just like, if you have to like zoom in onto it. So why don't you zoom in into that window that you were in and see if your lines show up properly.
Oh, like when I zoom all the way in, why
Yeah.
does it do that though?
I don't
That's
know.
like
It's just the way it previews. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I mean, it's fine. I think you don't need to freak out over it. But you do
Oh
need to
my
freak out over
gosh.
this viewport rectangle. You
Yeah. Okay.
you
Is it on there?
definitely, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's in your submission.
No, I mean right now when that
Oh, no?
PDF is that. See
I
that?
don't think
And I
so.
submitted twice.
Okay, well, why don't you
That's
try submitting it again, and I'll remember
okay.
that you submitted it on February 23rd. Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to submit? I'm just gonna submit this one that we just saved.
Yeah.
The
Why don't
one
you
that
submit that?
you. Okay, and then I'm
Okay.
gonna submit it right now. Let me know if you see the viewport on
Yeah.
there.
Can you just add a comment in here when you submit it, so I know to remember?
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Did you see my last comment when I just to make sure if I'm writing them in the right spot?
Yeah, right
Okay,
here.
yes.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay, cool. All right. So I think your problem is solved.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Okay, Veronice, back to you. How's it going?
Okay. I think you can move it around now.
Okay. Let me see. Request control. Okay, let me click around. Can I? I don't think it's letting me.
No.
Okay, well, let's zoom in on those that tile. So highlight your tile in top view. Okay, and then come into your perspective, like click on your perspective tab at the top, that tab, and then type ZS. Oh,
you want to see all four?
yeah, see all four.
Okay.
Yeah, so just type ZS, enter. Don't, deselect anything. I think you typed something wrong. It's fine. Just escape. Let's highlight your tile in your top view. Okay, now in the perspective view, you have to click the tab that says perspective at the top left. Yeah, there. Okay, don't double click it, just select it one. Or just, okay, double click it now. So we can see the four.
Perspective?
Yeah, double click that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go back to the four. And then, yeah, I just wanted to activate, you know how that tab is now blue. I wanted to activate that tab. So when we just type ZS, don't like deselect anything. Just type ZS on your keyboard. You don't
You
have
want me
to
to select?
No, type ZS on your
Oh,
keyboard.
okay. Sorry.
You're fine. And then enter. And then it should zoom into that. Okay, great. So now let's zoom into that tile at that area. Okay, so it looks like there's some object there. So can you ungroup these? Use the ungroup command. I don't think you also need to always like click in that command box. I think you can just start typing and it'll automatically
Oh, okay.
yeah, as a tip. Okay, so now like click over that. Yeah, click it. And is there a box that will come up? Like our selection menu box. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, stop, zoom in, and just click, and let's see.
Nope.
Okay, and can you press delete? Or actually just move it to the side.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Did you press delete? Sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
but it's still there. Did you,
I did everything that you did, so I don't know why it's there.
okay, can you ungroup again? Okay, you must have grouped it like multiple things. Okay, now, okay, now let's click on it. Let's see, how can
Did
we
I
do
just
this?
remake the square?
You could, I mean, I'm really trying to find out what this is. Can you just like zoom, like try just selecting that, like that corner, if you move your mouse to the right, just like, make a selection box and just like highlight that corner so that you're just touching that corner with a selection box.
Did it work?
Right there, extrusion, what's that? Click on that. Okay, and once that loads, what is that? Press delete. Okay,
Oh.
Missy, you have all of these extrusions here. That's what that is. You got to get rid of those.
Okay, thank you.
And then your tile will show up nicely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, cool. All good.
Are you
Let's
able
stop
to
sharing.
see if the viewport showed up? And then the previous PDF that I showed you was the file that I submitted, and it still doesn't show a viewport on this end.
I mean, I'm looking at your new submission and it looks great to me. You want to see? I'll show you for proof. Here you go. This is what it looks. Oh, no, not that. Here we go. See, it looks good. Now you don't have a viewport. So you know what? I think you really just didn't turn off the viewport when you had submitted it the first time.
No, I did. I mean, when we looked at my AI right now, you saw it wasn't even on.
Right, but I mean, it wouldn't have been in your submission if you didn't have it on, you know?
That's fine. I just,
Don't worry about
I
it. You're
still
fine.
stand by it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's okay. I still
Okay.
stand by it.
Okay, you
But
stand
that's
by
fine.
that.
Thank you.
You're all good. I mean, it looks good. So, oops.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then also, for the new, oh my gosh,
The new
the one we just
module?
did, the part one. Yes,
Yeah,
the
plan.
part one. Are we able to, because, okay, I have where I cut it at, I cut below my wall, like below my floor. I didn't cut through my floor, I just cut below it because above it, it wasn't, like it didn't show what it needed. Like, is that okay? Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't really know what you mean.
So I just kind of cut like the whole top part of my structure off.
Oh, like you cut under, oh, here, let me share this screen. So like you cut like this out, like your clipping plane is below
Yeah.
that. That's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. we just want to try to capture the most amount of information as possible. And yeah, if you had cut it like further up here, you're not really cutting through much. So yeah, it's good that you cut through that floor, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Glad everything's worked out. Does anyone else have questions?
I have a quick one with the
Yep.
plan part.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. How do I share the screen? It says you
Go
can't
for it.
share while someone else.
Yeah, I stopped sharing, so you can share it now.
All right, here's mine.
Yep.
I was wondering, do you have to crochet the windows if you're cutting through it? Like,
I think, yeah, you just have to crochet that like the frames, you know? Yeah, like that inner
this is a
portion.
window.
Yeah, like the inner one, not like the outer line.
Oh, so
know?
like just this part in this inside right here.
Well, like that rectangle, yeah. That like big rectangle there.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, just and if you just kind of crochet those, that's kind of what you should be crocheting, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, think of it as like anything that you're cutting through, you should be like crocheting that. Yeah. So
All right,
yeah,
thank you.
cool. All right. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yep.
So you mentioned this is for the plan view.
Okay.
So you mentioned when you're using the clipping plane, you mentioned to show as many like materials or like materials as possible. So like the aluminum walls and the windows and the walls, right?
Yeah, like to cut through
So
those, right?
yeah, to cut through those, yeah. So the problem I have is so when I cut through the, so I tried to show all three, so the window, the aluminum wall, and the normal walls. But when I
Mhm.
cut through the aluminum wall, whenever I rendered because I saw in your example and when you made a video, it's like it clearly it's like white. It's like clearly shown to be an aluminum wall. But for mine, whenever I render it out, it's already like pochade. It's already black. So can I share my screen so I
Yeah, you
can
can
show
share
it?
your screen, but I think it's gonna be appearing that way because you're cutting through the wall and the wall's sort of like hollow inside. And so it's just showing like the space, but if anything that you're cutting through, you're supposed to be putting a fill on anyway, you know, a black fill,
Okay.
you know?
But yeah.
So you
But
can,
yeah. Sure. Should I show it first?
yeah, show
Just
it
in
to me.
case. One second. So you can see like this wall here and this one. Like whenever I render so whenever it's rendered, these two are already like black. They're already like
Okay.
pochade.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. You're gonna fill it like with an Illustrator with like a rectangle to make it like like a nice like crisp black fill. So it's okay, and it's showing up
Okay.
that way because you're cutting through it in plan view. It's kind of just like dark on the inside.
All right, but yeah, because I remember you mentioned to show as many materials as possible, and
Yeah.
it's hard to know the difference if it's an
Yeah.
aluminum or just a normal wall.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You can. I think. If you like zoom in on it, you can see those details of it, of the aluminum wall. Like you can see like the reveals, those little profiles at the edges.
Oh yeah. That's
so
true. Whenever
Yeah. So that's really what's gonna make it show up as an aluminum cladding wall or identify it as one of those types of walls.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. That was my question. Thank you.
Good. Cool. No problem. All right. Anyone else? Nope. Going once. Going twice. What is too dark? What do you mean what's too dark?
Like when we're rendering and you know how we're playing with the gamma
Mm-hmm.
for our sections, what is too dark? I think because mine is so open, you know how we're choosing a skylight, and so I keep going darker and darker, but then I think, you know, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's really up to you. I would try to match it to
Okay.
like the shadowness of your previous drawing. So
Okay.
yeah, I would keep
Wait,
it
what
at
do you mean?
whatever, you know, like keep it at whatever you had for your previous drawing. That makes sense?
Like for our module 1 rendering?
Well, we didn't do a rendering for module 1. We
I
did for
mean,
module 2.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's what I mean for my.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
like try to match it to the same like brightness and like shadowness as you had for your module 2. So you know, when you're flipping through all of these drawings, it looks like a nice cohesive project.
Okay, I think, okay, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure. All right. Is that it, Valeria? Do you have a question? Just staying on. All right, I think we're good. I'm gonna end the call. Let me know, Valeria, if you have any questions. Email me. All right. All right.